Hey folks, and welcome to the Pipnotic Symposium for the 17th of January, February, March 2021. Okay, today I'm just going to show you a quick product update relating to the currency strength histogram. It's a pretty sweet addition to this tool. I can't seem to leave this piece of software alone. So what I've done is I've built in a trend indicator. And the trend indicator changes the color of the histogram. So if you notice that you go to the settings here, the histogram is dark gray or dim gray, but now you can see it's kind of a minty green color. And that's because on the big time frames, so looking at the asset strength histogram on the bigger time frames, specifically, let me show you. Trend, specifically the current time frame +2, so we're on that 4-hour chart. So looking at the weekly chart, the histogram is in an uptrend, so that means that we only want to be buying, and so we want to buy at 4-hour negative extremes, and we want to trade in line with the greater period trend, which is higher. So buying here. And if we have a look at the weekly data, you can see that we're slowly wriggling higher. Okay, this is really cool and very powerful. So I'm going to let this run for a little while, and I'm going to push this update out probably next week after I've had time to use it, and we'll see how it goes. But I think it's a really good way to visually show us what's going on, and the alerts work as well. We're not seeing as many alerts because the trend is put on. I'm just going to show you quickly how you use it. But essentially I wanted a way, without adding more lines or objects to the chart, I wanted a way to be able to show what the greater period trend is doing. Okay, so what we have here is we have a new section called trend. We have enabled trend. This is true or false, whatever you like. And we have a setting, so trend periods. I find that 5 is pretty good, especially when you're 3 time frames bigger. So we want to see the reactions on the histogram that is 3 time frames greater than the current one. We want to see really quick data. So if we're trading on the 4-hour, then we're going to be looking at monthly data, and monthly data is so slow. Because it's so slow, we want to see this data pretty quickly. We want to see the bleeding edge development. So period multiplier of 3, trend periods of 5. This should give us a really good indication about what's going on. Okay, and if we just go to something else, let's go to the British pound, American dollar. Let's let that click. Let's see what color the histogram is. This is also bullish. So on the monthly chart, we have this pair that is slowly creeping higher. Okay, let's have a look on the euro. Let's go to the 1-hour chart and see what that means. So what it's going to be doing now is going to be looking at the weekly data, which is, because this is 1, 2, this is 3 time frames higher. So let's see if we still have the same information. Oh, look at these beautiful trades that worked out like a charm. Yeah, we're still bullish. Okay, and so we could expect that the pound is going to appreciate in value relative to the American dollar. Okay, and you can see this now. Let's see if we can find something else that's telling us a slightly different story, so we can see a different scenario. Okay, so here on the Australian dollar, American dollar, we have a longer term downtrend, and you can see this is kind of a pink color. And if you see here, you can see that we have mint green and matty rose, just like really subtle colors. So you can see like a slight difference between the two. This is a negative trend, and the other charts that we saw, that was like a higher trend or a positive trend on the greater time frames. And so what you do now is you're waiting for this to happen like this, where price pokes into an area of supply at positive territory. So we move past the sell signal line, and we can expect price to wriggle lower from here. Okay, let's find one more example, then we'll just do analysis or something. So allowing this one to download and work. Okay, so here we had this is the American dollar, Japanese yen. and we are in a bull trend, so we're moving higher. So we had this area of 1 hour demand, almost tested, and it left. So this gives us confidence because we're looking at really important information. We're looking at the major flows on the major time frames. Okay, and so even though we are painting what appears to be a negative divergence, like so, like that, because we have this color, we have bullish flows on the bigger time frame, well, this would give us confidence to buy at this area of 1 hour demand. But when you start to see stuff like this, that means that things are probably going to start to turn around. You can see here on the mean, on this time frame at least, you can see we're starting to move a little bit lower. The mean is starting to move lower, and you can see that very clearly here in the histogram. And the alarms are also incorporating this information. This JSON section you won't have. This is just something I'm toying with, but you will have all the alarm stuff. So if we set the alarm, we want to see the alarm. We want to see the alarms from the daily to the, let's say, the 5-minute. We want the trend to be true. So this is going to filter everything, and it's only going to show us the stuff where we have an alignment with the trend. So let that run. Okay, there it is, popped up. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just going to turn this off so we don't run again. We just did it. There we are. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it looks like some data changed here, so we lost one of them there. But so let's look at the bleeding edge one. So the US dollar, Hong Kong dollar. Let's have a look at that. Where are we? Here it is. And that was daily. So we go to the daily chart. We're looking at 3 time frames greater, which there aren't. There aren't 3 time frames greater than the daily, so it's going to stop at the one that's highest, which is the monthly. So this is telling us that we have negative flows on the monthly data. So we can use this information on the small time frames, and you can see that we're starting to move up into this positive area here, so potentially expecting price to wriggle lower. But notice that we do have, this is a manipulated currency. We have price levels that are being supported by the central bank, so this might not be a very good example. So let's look at the pound Canadian dollar. Just here, this is on the 4-hour. Let's click that on. And this one has been triggered already by the robot. Okay, there it is. So we are in negative territory. This was turned on a little bit late, so we didn't get in at the best price. But if we zoom in a little, you can see that it would have bought on the close of this green candle right here. Okay, but I turned it on a little bit late, and so price had already traveled. So now we're starting to wriggle higher. We have a mint green histogram telling us that how many time frames bigger? 3 time frames bigger. So 1, 2, 3. On the monthly chart, we have the flows moving higher. So we could expect this is going to wriggle higher longer term. Okay, so this is really interesting, and this is something that I have added to the histogram. Just going to test it before I push it out, and I'm going to add to the algo as well, the asset strength reversion algo. Good stuff. Well, I'll stop talking about the software, and now let's go look at some charts. So I think a lot of people have been talking a lot about Bitcoin, so let's have a quick look at Bitcoin. Ethereum. We'll do Ethereum and not Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin. Okay, so let's have a look. So let's have a look at this one here. First of all, I can do the data grabber, so I download all the historical data I need for Ethereum American dollar, which I didn't have, I can see, and for Bitcoin American dollar. There we are. And go back here and let's see what it says. We'll start with Bitcoin. All right, so as expected, this thing is going, it's really on a run, and so you'd ask yourself the question, well, where do we have an area of demand? And we have one right here. We have a pretty interesting area just here, because when price left here, what do? We managed to remove this supply, which was tested several times. We'll let that update. There it is. So we had this one, price left, we managed to move past this low here, managed to feed back into here. Price tested this area of supply once, twice, we accumulated just below it, and then we removed it. So the origin of the move that did it is here, the $50,960.92 level. So this is probably where we're going to see a reaction. Below that, we have something similar, where we have a couple of other areas. We have this one here. Let that update. And then the one below it that removed it is this one here. This is not a beautiful area because it's kind of messy, but the cutaway did occur from around here. We could put that in like that. So remove this one, we'll leave that one. So this is where we have another area that we could consider to entertain along. Okay, so the $39,312.72. This is also an interesting area because when price left here, we managed to violate these highs. We had this area here, it was tested once. We had the parent, we have the child. Both the parent and the child have been removed by this area of demand. The buy zone for Bitcoin is currently, we have one here, around here. You see, so price is going to see some reactions there, which is ultimately a reaction to this little price thingy here, right there. Okay, and if this goes, which it probably will, eventually, then we have this one down here. So this is an interesting area, as is this one here. This is one that's closest to price, so this is the one that you would look to trade. If you're taken out of that one, well, then you would look to sell the area of supply that removed this 4-hour demand. Then I think you'll be in good shape. Okay, let's look at Ethereum now. All right, and on Ethereum we also have a green, mint green histogram, which is telling us that on the 1, 2, 3 on the monthly chart, this is racing north, and we know it is on the monthly chart. Everything's gone parabolic. Okay, so where would we look to buy Ethereum? Well, you can see here that we had this just here, which has been tested once. Okay, here's the candle that went through it. So this little price, this little candle here, the white one right there, you see the one, the auto accumulation, that was the buy area, and price kind of poked into that nicely. We had some pretty decent reactions as well. We had the top one a little bit deeper, we had a little bit deeper, so the buy zone keeps going lower into this area, and this one we had a really nice gap up, but it looks like this is going to break down, and so I'd expect this to move a little bit lower. And so looking lower, we have this here, which isn't, this is not that interesting here, because when price left here we didn't move below these lows, so that's not supply, so that makes this not demand. Rather, it doesn't make it, it disqualifies it as being demand. Yes, we had a nice departure, but you can't use that for demand, so you have to continue to look at what we had. And we had an interesting one. We had resistance here, these price points tested, and now it's gone, the origin of the move that removed it. We had this continuation pattern which cut it out. This is kind of the origin of it right down here at the bottom. Let that update, and price came kind of close to it, maybe pretty close to it. Okay, so we could expect price to come back down to this area here. Last time price was here, we saw a significant reaction, so that might be worth considering. And then if we look lower, there's a lot of stuff lower. There's a lot of stuff left. We go to the daily chart, maybe we can get a bit of clarity. The daily chart's going to be a little bit different because it's going to be looking at monthly data as well. You can see this is a lovely area here on the daily. Beautiful cutaway. this candle traded above these highs. The origin of it was just here. Boom. Beautiful. Below that we have what's kind of ugly on when Bitcoin's traded as a cash for difference instead of on the blockchain. Then you get these weekend gaps, which are quite ugly. But looking at this, I mean, we had a high, we had another high, we had a really sharp low, and we had a lower high. So what's going to happen? I don't know. I would have liked price to move above this high, which it didn't. It actually stayed below it. So we had like this low. So this makes me believe that we might do either something like that or return back to this period of value and then do that. So we'll have to see. We don't know yet. We don't know at all. We had a pretty nice breakaway here on this candle here from this little this sideways price movement. So we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. But this is a decent area down here for the reasons that I talked about. Okay, good. Well, I'm going to leave it at that. If you have any questions, drop them in the video on the Discord channel. Once again, thanks for watching.